Hey there, hope all is well. Back at you today with some more what's hot in the news, and it looks like the tariff talk is becoming somewhat of an interesting conversation as more commentators debate as to whether or not tariffs are actually a tax that will be trickled down into the mainstream economy, causing all goods and services to increase. And according to an article here from Walmart, it's basically saying that as the tariffs kick in, they will be raising their prices on goods and services. And so it looks like at this current rate on the average median household income, you can probably expect to pay close to an additional $500 to $600 a year on your everyday goods. So before I dive into today's articles, you can always find more of this information beneath the video in the video description. So let's dive into today's articles. So the very first article here is from CNBC as a couple hours ago. It has to do with the whole idea of a tax increase in reference to the whole tariff situation. And according to the reports here, it looks like they're comparing the most recent tax cut that was done a year ago to the possible tax increase with the total amount of income that will be brought in from the tariffs that will be placed upon China, which ultimately will be shifted down to you and I as consumers here in the U.S. So give you an idea what's going on here, some of the highlights is it says the combined $72 billion in revenue from all the president's tariff ranks as one of the biggest tax increases since 1993, according to CNBC analysts. Of data from the Treasury Department, it says, but there are key differences between the tax cut and tariffs. Scroll down a little bit more, it says, President Trump's have championed one of the largest tax cuts in recent years, has now enacted tariffs equivalent to one of the largest tax increases in decades. Only the revenue raised in the fourth year of the Affordable Care Act is greater, but not by much. It says the Nonpartisan Tax Foundation estimates all the tariffs enacted by the president, including the latest increase from 10% to 25% on $200 billion of Chinese goods, will raise approximately $72 billion in revenue, equal to 0.34% of U.S. gross domestic product. So here's a visual aid here. It says the biggest revenue measures. It says income as a percentage of GDP in 1 year. And of course, it gives different measurements here, but it looks like leading the way, or soon to lead the way. It says 2018 Trump tariffs at 0.34%, which is shy of the last budget act in 1993. Scroll down some more. It says, quote, it's certainly not the largest tax increase in history, but it does rank among some of the bigger tax proposals over the last 20 years that have raised revenues. So here in key differences talks about the difference between tax cuts and tariffs. And it says, Trump says Chinese companies pay tariffs, but most economists see them being borne by the U.S. businesses and consumers. That is, they are essentially a tax increase. It says over time, however, consumers and businesses can reduce this tax hit by substituting away from high-priced goods and Chinese production. And so in this video up above here, it talks about how more than likely as prices go up for some of your preferred products, what will happen is people tend to just look for other alternatives outside of their favorites. And that's kind of what they're hinting at here. Scroll down some more. So this is where things get really interesting here. It says Kent Smeaters of the Penn Wharton budget model and a former treasurer official during the Bush administration estimates that the tariff increase will cost the median U.S. household with earnings of $61,000 about $500 to $550 a year. It's the equivalent, he said, of raising the Social Security retirement tax by 1 percentage point to 11.6%. So here, according to this measurement here, we can probably expect to spend about $500 on the very short end in reference to our favorite goods that have come from China. And that's just mentioning some of the basic things here, not including all electronic gadgets, which I'm assuming will probably take that 500 figure up closer to 1,000 or more. But this is my very first time hearing a dollar amount. And whenever I hear a dollar amount, that lets me know that's at the bare minimum. So I would expect a lot more. So in this next article here from NBC News, it says Walmart says higher tariffs on China goods will increase prices for U.S. shoppers. It says Walmart said the company will also try to obtain products from different countries and work with suppliers to blunt the impact of higher taxes. So just the title alone lets me know that Walmart, which has become one of the American staple points for cheap and affordable shopping, if they're mentioning that they might go up on goods and services, I would imagine all the smaller retailers will definitely do that as well. Scroll down a little bit more, give you what's inside of it here. It says Walmart said on Thursday that prices for shoppers will go up due to high tariffs on imports from China. As the world's largest retailer reported its best comparable sales growth for the first quarter in 9 years. It says Walmart Chief Financial Officer Brett Biggs told Reuters that higher tariffs will result in increased prices for consumers. He said the company will seek to ease the pain in part by trying to obtain goods from different countries. It says investors and analysts expect spending to slow this year against a backdrop of rising debt, tariffs, and economic uncertainty. So this paragraph sums it all up. Investors and analysts expect spending to slow down this year. So it's very timely how as things begin to slow down, As a result of this whole trade war, not only do we have the whole increase in tariffs both on China as well as U.S. goods, but here we have Walmart, which is one of America's most utilized retail store for goods and services as well as groceries. If they're talking about there's a chance that there is going to be a slowdown or people spending less there, that will definitely impact Walmart as a corporation. And if they're the biggest here in this country, imagine what's going to happen to all the smaller retail and grocery stores around the country as well, not including all the electronic stores as well. So this tariff situation, which according to these measures here, looks like it will cost us as consumers a lot more than it would if there were no tariffs, because costs are ultimately shifted towards those that are consuming the goods, which happen to be you and I. So it looks like we can expect to pay more out of our pocket for just the everyday goods that we're currently using now. And this is just based upon a shift from 10% to 25%. So God forbid it goes any higher, which will definitely cause problems for a lot of people in this country as well as around the world as this whole thing slow down. But I'm curious to find out what you think. Will this $500 be a minimum that we can expect to spend, or can we count on spending a lot more as this whole tariff situation continues to increase possibly? But I'm curious to find out what you think. Leave a comment down below. More importantly, if you've enjoyed this, give it a thumbs up and don't be afraid to share it. Looking forward to bringing more of what's hot in the news. See you later.